Wait, so my ex and his wife just sent me a 3-page manifesto. Like, literally a manifesto, calling me a terrible mother. Why? Because I asked them to watch our kids for 1 extra week during my 3-week honeymoon. The same honeymoon they took. The same favor I've done for them like a dozen times. And here's the crazy part. The spreadsheet I made after. Yeah, you're gonna wanna hear this. Okay, so let me give you the backstory real quick. They've been divorced for over 5 years. 2 kids, 9 and 7, and honestly, they co-parent really well. Like shockingly well. No child support, 50-50 custody, they swap weeks when stuff comes up. It's been smooth. She wanted the divorce, by the way, not because anything horrible happened. It's just, he wanted more kids, and she was happy with the 2 they had. Therapy didn't even fix that gap, so they called it. He remarried pretty fast. 4 years ago to a woman named Tessie. And they've had another kid, and Tessie is actually pregnant again, due any week now. Meanwhile, our op is engaged to a guy named Luke, getting married in February. Normal blended family stuff. Here's where things get interesting. They have this group chat, but it's all business. Kids' schedules, drop-offs, that's it. And they had one rule, introduce new partners before meeting the kids. Both sides followed it. No drama. But here's the thing, she's been doing a lot for them. Like a lot. When Greg and Tessie got married, she kept the kids an extra week so they could have a honeymoon. Then another week so they could settle in after the wedding. Because they didn't live together before marriage, apparently. Then Tessie had their first baby. She kept the kids for about a month. A month. She brought them over to meet their new brother, of course. But she gave them a full month to adjust. Because Tessie was a first-time mom. So naturally, when Tessie told her at a lacrosse game, wait, was it lacrosse? Lacey's game. Something like that. Anyway, Tessie told her the C-section date, which fell right in the middle of their custody week. And our op immediately said, oh, no problem, I'll take the kids that week and my next week. You guys recover. But then Tessie got weird about it. She hemmed and hawed and asked if they could keep them for an extra custody week. A whole month again. Even though this is their second baby. And our op thought, okay, that's a lot, but C-sections are major surgery. Fine, I love my kids anyway, I'll do it. So that's the history. She's given them weeks, a month, multiple times. Now, she and Luke are planning their honeymoon, 3 weeks. I know that sounds long, right? But it's a bucket list trip. Japan, I think she says later, and the kids wouldn't even enjoy it. So they figured they'd get married on a Saturday, which is her custody week. The kids would stay with Greg that night and for his entire week. Then Greg would keep them for her next week and his following week. So basically, Greg would have them for one of her custody weeks plus 1 extra evening. That's it, 1 extra week. She doesn't have family nearby. Her parents died young, grandparents gone, the aunt and uncle who raised her retired to New Mexico. That's like a 3-hour plane ride plus 2 hours driving. Her friends could watch the kids, sure, but why wouldn't she ask Greg? After everything she's done for them, so she texts him the general plan, then emails a detailed version with locations, times, contact info. Very thorough. And then, crickets, no response for days, until finally they email back. And our op and Luke start joking about it because it's so unhinged. They called it the manifesto. And I mean, that's not an exaggeration. She says it was long, rambling, repetitive, and clearly partly written by ChatGPT. And the gist: what kind of mother goes on a 3-week vacation without her kids? You're a terrible person for asking a young mother to have her stepkids full-time for 3 weeks. By the way, Tessie is 38, same as Greg. She's not young. She meant mother of young kids, but the op kept getting annoyed by that detail. They said she's a terrible co-parent, that she's dumping the kids on them, that she and Luke don't want more kids. Yeah, he had a vasectomy, but that doesn't give them permission to gallivant around. Gallivant, she literally says, I don't think I've ever gallivanted in my entire life. And here's the part that really gets me. They acted like she was constantly dumping the kids on them. But remember that spreadsheet she mentioned. She made one, went through 4 years of texts, counted every time either side asked for help. 87 nights they asked her, 52 separate times, her 12 nights, 8 times. She didn't send it to them. She just needed to know she wasn't crazy. So no, she's not dumping the kids. She's been the one holding everything together. And the one time she asks for a favor in return, she gets called a horrible mother. That's why she's furious. And honestly, I don't blame her one bit, so she got petty. And honestly, it's the kind of petty I can respect. She sat down and went through 4 years of texts, 4 years, and she made a spreadsheet, an actual Excel sheet, tracking every single time either of them asked the other to keep the kids. And the numbers are insane. They asked her for help 87 nights, 52 separate times, 87 nights. You know how many times she asked them? 12 nights, 8 times. Now she didn't send them the spreadsheet. She's not that confrontational, but she needed to see it for herself. She needed to know she wasn't crazy. And spoiler alert, she's not, but here's where it gets really wild. That's just the overnight stuff, the big asks, the things you actually track, because the day-to-day stuff she does for them, oh man, I mean, you won't believe this list. Okay, so first, school pickups. Every single day, she or her fiancé Luke picks up the kids from school, even on Greg's custody weeks. Why? Because Greg doesn't get off work until 5, and Tessie doesn't want to take the baby out to get them. Tessie doesn't work, by the way. The divorce decree says whoever's week it is does the drop-offs. But she's been doing all of it, both ways, for years, because it's only a 5-minute drive and they have a baby. Then there's appointments. Every doctor visit, every dentist, everything. She takes them to all of it. Greg would have to use paid time off. She has a flexible schedule, so she just does it. Health insurance. They're on his plan through work. But she pays all the copays, all of them. And she keeps a tally just in case. In the past, it was fine. But then their daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and that stuff gets expensive fast. Greg mentioned money was tight, so she just started paying for everything, didn't even ask, because her daughter needed it. Oh, and their son. He's in the process of being diagnosed with autism, has pretty bad meltdowns. So they call her pretty frequently like, hey, can you come get the kids for a few hours? Things are overwhelming. And she does. She's cancelled plans for this. They've never cared. Then there's the car. Greg was in an accident. She had an old car she hadn't sold yet, so she let him use it for 7 months. 7 months with no effort from him to replace it. And I haven't even gotten to the cat yet. They have a cat. Normally their daughter would clean the litter box. But with the diabetes diagnosis, and until they get her labs under control, the doctor said no messing with the litter box. So Greg travels for work sometimes. Tessie's pregnant, so she says she shouldn't have to do it. Their son's too young. So who's been cleaning the cat's litter box? Yep, the op. She has been going over to her ex-husband's house to scoop cat poop. I mean, read that back. She pays for medical stuff, does all the school runs, takes them to every appointment, gives them a free car for 7 months, cleans their cat's litter box, and takes the kids whenever they feel overwhelmed. And the one time she asks for a favor, 1 extra week of custody so she can go on her honeymoon, she gets called a terrible mother. It's like, do they not hear themselves? Do they not see what she's been doing this whole time? She's not asking for a medal. She's not even asking for thanks. She just wants them to act like they haven't been taking advantage of her for years. But the manifesto made it crystal clear. They don't see any of it. They just see what they want when they want it. So yeah, she made a spreadsheet. She didn't send it. But now she knows the truth. And honestly, that spreadsheet might be the most justified act of pettiness I've ever seen. So she's sitting there, staring at this manifesto, right, steaming. And she decides she's going to respond. She's hyping herself up, getting ready to write something that will probably burn that co-parenting bridge to the ground. And then her phone rings. It's Greg. She's amped, so she answers. And here's the thing. He starts with an apology. Not a full one, not right away. But he says, look, Tessie wrote that email. She was overwhelmed. Things are crazy. Their son's autism stuff, the new baby coming, plus Op's daughter's diabetes still being a roller coaster. Any type 1 parent can relate to that, she says. But then Greg drops this detail. Tessie misread the email. She thought Op was asking them to keep the kids for 3 of her custody periods. Total of 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Now, Op goes back and reads the manifesto again. And okay, yeah, she can kind of see how someone might read it that way. The manifesto wasn't exactly a model of clarity, but still. Greg says 1 week for the honeymoon is totally fine. They'll figure it out. And he admits the whole thing was inappropriate, uncalled for. Now, most people would probably accept that apology, breathe a sigh of relief, move on, not op. She's done. She tells him, damn straight it was inappropriate. One of the most deranged emails I've ever read. And then she asks him something really smart. She says, does anything in that email ring true to you now that you've had some distance from it? He pauses, and he admits, no, it doesn't. So here's where she shifts. She'd been going back and forth. Part of her wanted to tell him to go to hell. No more custody switches. Ever. She didn't care if they had 5 more C-sections. But she pulls back from that. She says, okay, I'll still take the kids when Tessie has her C-section. I'll keep them through my custody week. But when your next custody period starts, you're taking them back. That gives you 10 days to recover. If you need more help after that, figure it out. Just like you'll have to figure out childcare for your other son. He starts to argue. She bulldozes right through him. She says, you can repay me for all the times I've helped you by covering this 1 week for my honeymoon. That's the deal. He says that sounds fair, thanks her, but she's not done. She says the email was so far out of line that all the extras stop immediately. Let me list what she cut off because it's a lot. School pickups. He can find a carpool or a bus or pick them up himself. She's still willing to pick them up, but only during her weeks. On his weeks, he or Tessie can come get the kids from her house. Then she drops the hammer. She says, if you can't care for the kids because of your son's meltdowns or the new baby, I'll help. But I'm going to start tracking it. And if I think it's becoming a real problem, I will file for primary custody. Primary custody. She asks him, would that help you? You could have them every other weekend. I wouldn't even ask for child support, considering how difficult your situation is, even though I know I could. And he insists that's not necessary. That's not what he wants. He says they'll figure it out. He doesn't have much to say after that, just apologizes again. And here's the thing, she's not done. She tells him it's not impossible to rebuild the trust we had, but it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of work on his part and Tessie's, because she is done putting in so much just to get attacked. He promises he understands, then she delivers the final blow. She says this is another verbal agreement, not legally binding. So here's the deal. The first time either of you slips up, the first time you make an outrageous demand, the first time either of you says anything remotely close to what Tessie wrote in that email, I will bring down the hammer, because due to the attacks on my character, I now have a lawyer on retainer. Now, she hasn't actually met with a lawyer yet. She admits that later she was bluffing, but sometimes you need to bluff. And Greg says he understands. A little while later, Tessie sends a text apology. It seems sincere, but Op doesn't trust her. She knows Greg wouldn't throw Tessie under the bus, but the fact that Tessie thought it was okay to send such a demeaning email after everything Op has done, that grace is gone. She sends a short acknowledgement text and moves on with her day. And here's the thing that really hits me. She says both their lives are about to get much harder. And if they try to put any of that discomfort on her kids, she will move swiftly. But if her kids just have a little less at their dad's house than they do at hers, that's not the worst lesson for them. Their needs will always be met. She knows that. The power shift here is massive. She went from being the accommodating ex-wife who cleaned their cat's litter box to the one holding all the cards. She didn't scream. She didn't send the spreadsheet. She just stated facts. And then she drew a line. And Greg, he had nothing to say, because he knew she was right. That's the moment everything changed. So, fast forward 2 months. Tessie had the baby, another little boy. And guess what? She's still mad. Like genuinely, impressively mad. The week before she gave birth, she sent up this whole long text, basically saying, when you bring the kids to the hospital to meet their new brother, I don't want you coming upstairs. Greg will be busy, so the kids will have to figure out how to get up there themselves. But also, you need to stay in the hospital and not leave because I don't know how long they can be there. Read that again. Don't come up, but wait in the lobby in case we need you. And Op's just like, Okay, with their last kid, they specifically invited me in to meet the baby. But whatever, I don't even like babies, not a big deal. But then she realized, I don't have to be at this woman's beck and call, so she just had Greg's mom take the kids to meet the baby. Apparently, that was the wrong call. She got in trouble for that too. Lol. So, yeah, she's done playing the group chat game. She stopped responding to Tessie entirely. Only communicates with Greg now. Tessie still texts her, but Op just ignores anything that isn't directly about the kids. Here's where it gets a little sad, though. The kids have started talking, not in a dramatic way, just casually. They told Luke that when their brother has a meltdown, they just hang out upstairs or downstairs. It's not that big a deal to them, but they like it when Op comes and picks them up. And they didn't say this like it was a secret, just randomly. So Op had to tell them, look, you're not being bad siblings, but that's your family too, and you can always call me. Still, she doesn't feel bad anymore about not picking them up every single time they ask, though sometimes she still does. Because, you know, mom guilt. Now for the really wild part. Tessie told a mutual friend that if Op keeps this up, this being not doing whatever they want, they'll file for child support. And the only reason they haven't before is because Op was so helpful. I mean, good luck with that. Good luck. You're gonna file for child support from the woman who pays all the medical copays, does all the school pickups, gave you a free car for 7 months, and cleaned your cat's litter box, while you're the one who sent a deranged manifesto because she asked for 1 week of help. Yeah, let me know how that works out. But here's the awkward part, the wedding. Op and Luke are getting married in February. Tessie and Greg were invited to Op's first wedding back in the day. And apparently Tessie is telling people they're going to this one, acting like they'll be there. Op is like, I don't think I should invite them. I mean, obviously not right. But they have a lot of mutual friends, so it's messy. She ends the update with this realization. Ignoring them and not helping was really hard at first. She thinks she might have been a bit of a people pleaser, but not caring what they think about her anymore, that's helped a lot. She just wanted a good childhood for her kids, but she can only control what happens at her house. And honestly, that's the healthiest thing she said through this whole story. So yeah, Tessie's still mad. Greg's stuck in the middle, the kids are okay, and Op is finally done being a doormat. As for the wedding invite, she'll figure it out. But if Tessie thinks threatening child support is going to work, I mean, good luck with that. If you made it this far, you clearly love messy Reddit stories as much as I do. Hit that like button if you think Tessie had it coming, and subscribe for more wild co-parenting dramas, revenge spreadsheets, and people finally growing a backbone. I'll see you in the next one.